You're listening to Real People's Media. If you don't know who we are, you will soon.
So my name is Tim Barnhart. I'm the owner and CEO of Legacy 420 and also founder of the National Medical Indigenous Cannabis Association, a national advocacy group. So we've been in business approximately 5 years and have established, I think, a very unique brand of products. With the emphasis of pushing a red economy across the nation, fortunately, COVID has obviously thrown a wrench into a lot of those opportunities for our people, and I'm just basically here to try and tell people that you can have a small business and you can maintain this business during a COVID operation. At Legacy here, we've taken it very seriously, Tom. We've installed machines, sanitizing machines all throughout the building. I think there's probably, how many, 9 or 10?
In the dispensary alone, there's 8.
There's 8 in the dispensary
and 2
alone.
outside the building.
2 outside the building, so when folks get out of their car, they can clean their hands right away before they even enter. So we got people every 15 minutes going around wiping everything down, all the countertops, all the doorknobs, door handles, with alcohol, right? So, and today, this morning, we're having a shield installed all the way around the front counter. So that'll prevent any spittle from reaching our staff. So it's a plexiglass design that'll basically wrap around the whole counter. So Walmart and Canadian Tire have taken those steps, and so we're taking it too, right? So we think that keeping our staff safe is paramount, and the public is paramount during these times. So I obviously think that especially Indigenous people who are in small business should really think about the long-term ramifications of closing their store, even in the short term, right? So during that time, a lot of customers are going to find other places to buy their stuff, right? Whether it be other nations or other stores outside the community. So we're going to lose our market is what's going to happen, and so there's a lot of fear in the community with regard to that. So my lonely voice in this situation is probably not being heard very well. We are an essential service, and so we take that very seriously. But others aren't. Unfortunately, some people aren't taking it seriously, and others have taken it to the extreme and closed their doors. So it's up on Tyendinaga. It's up to the individual business on how they want to handle that. And so we've taken the proactive move to stay open during the COVID-19. So we've taken cannabis as a medicine very serious. Our main products that we sell are basically compounds, not synthesized drugs, but compounds of the plant. And so that's very unique what we're doing here, Tom. And out of that, we've been able to create various lines of natural products. And so we're more in the field of medicine than we are of having a good time. And so we've built quite a brand around a lot of this. And there's, I do believe, 250 products in the SKU that we now manufacture. And I think there's 5,000 products available through our wholesale program. So it's expanding, and we're tightly in the medical market. So, and that's where I've always wanted to be, and we're now making that a reality. Yeah, so a lot of people are doing online sales, Tom, not just on reserve, but off reserve. And so as of last week, the government and the RCMP have doubled their efforts to close those methods of purchase down. Weed Maps was recently served, I do believe, with a search warrant, right? So a lot of these people will be taken down. So that isn't really an option. It's an option, but it's an illegal option. And so what I'm worried is that our people will start to trade and sell through these mainstream websites and then become shut down and arrested through the system, right? So I don't think that we should do that. We don't have any protection. And then as far as banking goes, we've been shut right out of the system. Insurance as well. So the insurance industry, the banking industry, and now, you've got the bank machines is primarily what First Nations rely on. And now they're making moves to come after those as well. So I really think this is an all-out race for taxation on First Nation. I've always thought that. I think the Cannabis Act was designed in a way to trick us into signing on that line, right? And imposing taxation on gasoline, tobacco, and cannabis. So getting back to your question on what are we to do, I don't think online is the right way, Tom. I think that once we're out in the world selling our product, we're opening ourselves up for a tax issue, right? So I think there's some people on this reserve who've taken different levels of business in that same direction and have been pounded by the federal government and are now in courts, right, trying to save their companies and their names. So I think our safety is on the territories, and it always has been and it always will be. And if that means moving people here safely as we can, I think we're left with no alternative. So you can't collect any money unless you go along with the state of emergency, right? So that's the unfortunate part, and that's why you've got provinces and municipalities all colonies, right, Tom? So you get no funding unless you do, and so that's an interesting position for our people to be in, right? So we're really fucked, right? So it gets back to my original point is that we shouldn't be closing our businesses. We should be doing everything in our power to make commerce safe, right? And so manufacturing hasn't shut down in Canada, right? So you've got a whole, I don't know how many industries are operating out there. I know that people who have been deemed essential, they haven't given a number on how many people that is, right? But I think that if we were to shut commerce down entirely, Tom, I think you'll know what happens, right? So we're going to have a revisit of 2008 all over again, probably much worse, because during the 2008 crash, there wasn't a complete fallout of economies. We still had economies up and running in states around the US. Canada, we did pretty good that time. We skated through that, but it's not going to happen this time, Tom. So when this economy goes down, it's going to be down for months, maybe even years. Maybe in the US, it was 18 months. The Great Recession. The situation's much worse this time, Tom, as you well know, and it could be longer, right? It could be 2 years, it could be 3 years. We don't know. Central banks are now throwing everything, including cash registers and refrigerators, at the situation to no avail. The markets are still at unease. So that's what I'm afraid of, Tom. The COVID is merely, for me, it's just addressing, right? It's just addressing on what's to come, and that's the financial fallout. And there's where the damage to our people is going to come, right? So how do we get these businesses up and running again once they're down? So we're being told it's 2 weeks, then it stretches into 4 weeks, then 4 months. Then what do we do after 4 months? We don't have the resources to get industry back up and going. We're dead in the water, and we're back on the dole again. We're back to Ontario Works and taking handouts from the federal government. I guess I'm an animal of the markets. So I follow what's going on closely all around the world every morning, right? So, and you're absolutely right that there is a great possibility that that could happen. And it could happen very quickly, right? And it all depends on if there's a run on the banks. So if there's a run on the banks, the first thing that'll happen is they'll limit how much you can get. And once they limit how much you get, you'll have to use a card to get in there and get that because they're going to use COVID as an excuse for you not to withdraw your money. So then you're on plastic like they were in Europe for months, even years. And I don't know if Europe's even reverted back to cash the way it was once was. And another a good I guess situation to add to this is the whole artificial intelligence and how fast that's coming on in the last previous recessions. So we've lost 88% of all workers have lost their jobs during the last 3 recessions and never to get them back, Tom. So each time there's a recession or a fallout in the economy and people are displaced and unemployed, those jobs, they never get to go back to those jobs. New jobs are created and at a lower level pay. And that's what those folks are being forced to take, right? So that's happening at a faster rate, right? So governments around the world are now ponying up money for manufacturers to do this basically for nothing, right, Tom? So there's low interest and interest-free loans available throughout the world in Canada that you can access to start the artificial intelligence, to start to modernize the industry, right? The manufacturing industry. So that's another huge concern for our people, right? So as this is happening, we're sitting at home, right, twiddling our thumbs, waiting for this all to end. And so the COVID ends. Let's say hypothetically the COVID does end. So what about the economic fallout after that? So will we be then forced to stay home because of the economic fallout, right? And will COVID go on as a guise until they get the financial system straightened out? There's just so many unanswered questions for our people and people in general about the direction world governments are taking with regard to COVID and the financial system. That there's where your fear lies, right, Tom? I mean, you've got the combination of the fear of COVID times fear of what are you going to do after this is all done, and that's really worrying a lot of people. And it's all paramount, Tom, on gaining control of our own economies, right? So it's pretty simple, and this is what I don't understand is you tell the province no, right? You just tell them no, right? And we're going to do it our way. And this is what, for the life of me, I don't understand why we're signing away our rights every time we sign up to a provincial program, right? And is it that much? Is it that difficult to create a program, Tom? You know, like, is it really? You know, like I remember being, I think I was 24 or 25, and that was my job at the band office, right? Was to create programs, right? And that's what I did, right? And so now we've given all that away, and we're going along with the province, and we're calling people in to do building. We're calling people in to take care of us, basically. Even I see the new doctor's office here is being manufactured and made off the reserve for us. That's not self-sufficiency, right? So I don't know what, you know. I know the bank councils have a hard time juggling the situation, maybe because they're in crises all the time, I'm not sure. But we can do better. Like, all we have to do is create our own economy, Tom, and it's already here. Just look around. Look around. We've created this economy ourselves, and it's an economy that it's renewable, right? So it's a resource that just keeps giving and giving and giving, and all the bank councils have to do is say, you know what? We believe in ourselves. We believe in our people, and we're going to regulate this ourselves, and we're going to do things ourselves. Not we're going to hand it all over to the province or the feds. We're going to do this ourselves. And I don't know what is so complex that that we're still not even there, Tom. Here we are 5 years later, right? And we're still with no acknowledgement from council. I mean, we've created, I think, what is probably $100 million business on this reserve, and it shines, and our council doesn't seem to recognize the good that's come from that. So you've got guys who are growing, you've got guys who are processing, you've guys that are manufacturing, and so the spin off from this is huge. It's become, I think, the life of Tyendinaga, right? And so with all these processes comes employment, right? And dollars that can easily replace the provincial coffers and what they're sending us each year. So if we were to just focus on an industry, and if the councils would allow First Nations to focus on an industry and work with us, in not just in this cannabis industry, but all industries, Tom, tobacco industry, construction industries. I mean, they always want to give it away. And it's stopping, Tom. That's what I can tell you. It's stopping. We do have some good people in this council now that are listening to our concerns. Mind you, we're right there every step of the way to be sure that, this business and this industry isn't stolen from us. But look at what's happened. We've created this, and the next phase is food sovereignty and energy sovereignty, right? So geothermal, solar panels, this is stuff that our councils are doing right now. They're sending money off the reserve to partner with other groups, other provinces, other industry players to build these solar parks off the reserve. And it just boggles my mind why we're not building it on our reserve, right? And keeping that energy for ourselves. Because what is it right now? Is it 14 cents a kilowatt hour? Right? And so you won't even be able to grow your own food, right? So the cannabis industry is opened up opportunities that would have never ordinarily been here. So if, for instance, we're talking on amongst the members of Tyendinaga and across Canada are talking about giving back in terms of if you're a grower, right, and you have, say, for instance, 6 or 10 or 12 greenhouses, well, 2 of those should be mandated to grow vegetables for the nation that that they live on. Currently, right now, we can't even build a greenhouse, Tom, because we can't get the funding that we need to do that, right? So we're frozen even out of that system. So we have to do it all from within, and then that's a costly thing, right? So I think, close to $1 million spent already on the greenhouse that we have here, but yet we still haven't got it up, right? So what you got going on now is the COVID, which has slowed commerce down. And so if our businesses can't go to mainstream banks and borrow, and so we're left to take our money and save it and do all our billing ourselves. So that's taken us time, and it's unfortunate. So as the longer we sit on the sidelines, the more market share goes to the LPs, and that's also a huge problem. We don't even know if we're going to farm this year, Todd, because of the price. The prices are falling steadily and fast, and there's other issues with regard to products that we need to make our products, like alcohol, ethanol, is now the prices are being jacked up and they are being squeezed, right? So processors now, ethanol and alcohol processors now require an LP license, right? So it's freezing all First Nations again, right? Freezing us out of the industry. So now we have to either build our own ethanol plant and start it ourselves, or build our own alcohol stills. There's no other option, Tom. And that's probably going to be the next thing that we have to do, is invest in that, right? So energy, if it's ethanol, that works for us, right? So we've got a lot of obstacles in the way that we've been trying to get around. So there we're frozen out of the LP system. So, lab supplies, anything we need, it's hard to get, right? So in insurance industry, we're frozen out of that. So it's hard to get insurance for all your products. If somebody's injured here, it's hard to get insurance. And then we're frozen out of the banking industry, right? So there's no banking available for First Nation people who are running cannabis dispensaries legally on their reserve. And so what are we to do, right? It's an unfortunate scenario.
Here at Legacy, we want to be seen not just as a proprietor of medicine, but also a nation-to-nation wholesaler to other First Nation dispensaries. We are a vendor-qualified company, as well as seed to sale, meaning that we manage all our product from the ground to a finished retail product. We have over 2,000 SKUs at any given time, ranging from extracts, edibles, tinctures, capsules, salves, beverages, suppositories, and even custom formulation. We are proud to say that we employ some of the most well-educated, passionate First Nations people in the cannabis industry.
That to me showed me, I could see in his eyes that it gave back his manlyhood, it gave back a sense of pride, and it changed his life. It didn't just change his body, it gave him a sense of life back and a stability. And I think that's important, that truly is the medicine. That it's not just the salve itself, it's the aftermath, that people can still enjoy him and he can enjoy them.
Here at Legacy, we're proud of our R&D. We're always learning, growing, and trying to understand this amazing medicine. We do so by being innovative and cutting edge with all cannabis sciences.
Okay, my name is Rodney Patapoff. I think the biggest thing was the team that we work with is just super tight, and the medicine is just coming out just bang on. Like there's no, between the mathematical equations and the testing, it's coming out perfectly. And I think that's where a lot of people should look at Legacy for wholesale, right?
If you'd like to know more, please contact us by phone or email. We'd be happy to answer any of your questions and assist you getting good medicine to your dispensaries on your First Nation.